The last letter sat unopened on Daniel's kitchen table for 6 months. He had waited 12 years to read it. 12 years of following instructions, written by a woman who had been dead longer than some marriages last. Everyone told him to open it, his sister, his friends, his therapist, but Daniel understood something they didn't. As long as the last envelope remained sealed, there was still one future conversation left between him and Emma. Opening it would mean there would never be another. What he didn't know was that Emma had spent 12 years leading him toward a hidden truth that would change how he understood everything about their marriage. And she had hidden the key to that truth in the last place he would ever think to look. Emma gave him the box 1 week before she died. 11 years of marriage. The kind of marriage built from genuine friendship rather than performance, from the specific and unrepeatable texture of two people who had learned each other's rhythms so thoroughly that they had stopped noticing how completely they had woven themselves together. Daniel didn't know how bad the diagnosis was until near the end, which was its own form of love on Emma's part, protecting him from the full weight of the knowing until the knowing was unavoidable. The box was wooden, small, the kind that looked handmade and probably was. Inside were 12 envelopes, each one labeled. Year 1 through year 12. Her handwriting on every one, which he recognized as well as his own. "One rule," she told him. "Open only one each year, on your birthday." He laughed, because it seemed like the kind of elaborate instruction that would be impossible to honor once grief made its full arrival. She didn't laugh. She looked at him with the expression she reserved for things she needed him to understand completely. "Promise me," she said. He promised. The first year was the worst year. Grief arrived the way people who have not experienced it don't understand grief arrives, not as a single wave, but as a permanent alteration of the atmosphere, a change in the quality of ordinary air that makes every room feel slightly wrong regardless of what you do to the room. His birthday came, and he opened the first letter with hands that weren't entirely steady. It was not dramatic. It was not poetic in any way that would have felt performative from her. Emma had understood something about what he needed in that first year that he had not yet understood himself. Not inspiration. Not advice about moving forward or honoring her memory or any of the phrases people repeat during grief because they are the available phrases. Just proof. Proof that she had been real. That they had been real. Specific memories offered without sentiment, in the particular way she had always told stories, with the details that nobody else would have remembered to include. For the first time since the funeral, he slept that night without the television on. The years moved in the way that years move when a person is rebuilding something from materials they are still learning to identify. Each birthday, one letter, each letter arriving with an accuracy that stopped feeling like coincidence somewhere around year 3. Year 3 addressed his anger, which he had been telling himself wasn't anger, but which was unmistakably anger once Emma named it from across the distance of 3 years. Year 4 addressed the guilt. The specific guilt of someone who wonders whether they should have noticed something sooner, should have pushed harder for answers earlier, should have done something differently when differently still existed as an option. Year 5 told him to stop apologizing to people for his grief. Her exact phrasing. Stop apologizing for taking up space with it. Year 6 told him to travel somewhere he had always postponed. Year 7 arrived and Daniel opened it and read the usual opening paragraph and then encountered a sentence that sat differently from everything that had come before it. If you're reading this, there is something in the attic you haven't found yet. Don't look for it now. Wait until year 10. He read it 3 times. Then he looked at the ceiling as though he could see through it. He did not go to the attic. He had promised her once, and the habit of honoring her instructions had become the thing he trusted most about himself. But for 3 years, he thought about what was up there. Year 10. He climbed the attic stairs on his birthday morning before opening the letter, understanding that whatever was up there was connected to whatever the year 10 letter contained. In the back corner behind boxes, he recognized from their first apartment, he found a sealed envelope. On the front, in Emma's handwriting, Open after year 12. Beside it, wrapped in cloth, was a photograph he had never seen before. Two people. A woman who was clearly a younger Emma, college-aged, her expression carrying something he had never seen in any photograph from her life he thought he knew. And beside her, a young man he had never seen before. On the back of the photograph, nothing. No names. No date. Daniel sat in the attic for a long time, holding the photograph of the person he had been married to for 11 years, standing beside someone who had never appeared in any story she had ever told him. He brought both items downstairs and placed them beside the year 12 envelope and waited 2 more years. The year 12 letter was 1 page. "If you're reading this, then I was wrong," it began. He felt his chest tighten. "I thought this would be the year you stopped needing me. But I understand now that needing someone and being unable to continue without them are different things. You have needed me and continued anyway. That was always the point. My job was never to stay. It was to help you become the person who could continue after I was gone. This isn't my last letter. It's your first." Then, at the bottom, "Now open the attic envelope." Inside the attic envelope was the photograph again, a duplicate, and beneath it, 40 handwritten pages. Not a letter. A memoir. Emma's handwriting, covering events that had happened before Daniel existed in her life. The young man in the photograph was her brother. His name was Marcus. He had died when Emma was 19, suddenly and without warning, from a cardiac event no one had known to look for. She had never told Daniel, not because she was hiding something that reflected badly on either of them, but because the loss had happened in a period of her life she had survived by becoming someone capable of surviving it. And by the time she met Daniel, she had carried it for so long in silence that finding language for it felt like reopening something that had finally partially healed. The memoir was not about Marcus's death. It was about the 12 years after it, about learning to continue without a person who had been central to the architecture of her interior life, about what she had needed during those years that no one had known to give her, about what she wished someone had thought to provide. Every letter she had written Daniel was built from that knowledge. Every year, every specific intervention, every moment of arriving exactly when he needed something addressed, had come from her memory of what she had needed at the same stage of her own grief and had not received. She had not been guessing about his experience. She had been translating her own. The final page of the memoir was short. "I couldn't give Marcus what I'm giving you, but I can give it to you. And if it works, then something of what I learned from losing him will continue past both of us. That's what love does when it's paying attention. It finds a way to make the loss useful." Daniel sat at the kitchen table with all 12 letters arranged in order, and the photograph of Emma and Marcus, and the memoir she had spent years writing not for publication, but for him, and understood that he had been wrong about what the letters were. He had believed Emma was finding ways to stay. She had been building him a bridge she had never had, constructed from the materials of a grief he had never known she carried, designed specifically to carry him to the other side of losing her. Her greatest gift was never the letters themselves. It was the certainty, built letter by letter across 12 years, that he was going to be okay. And he was.